Husband is distant and saying he only wants to be together on his terms for the time being. My husband, M25, and myself, F24, have been married a little over a year. It was only for health insurance, and together for almost 10 years. We've had our share of fights and have done things to each other over the last 10 years that certainly aren't ideal in any perfect relationships. However, we've always been happy and have come together on almost everything. He's the love of my life. We've been together since we were teens. I'm gonna start where the root of our current issues started. Since we've been together since we were teens, I had a few sexual experience prior to him and he'd had none. Over the years, he'd want to try things I wasn't open to. And I'd sometimes say, maybe you should sleep with someone else, just to experience it. This never came to fruition and he never wanted to. Then, back in late January of this year, that conversation came up again, but was strictly hypothetical. We agreed that if the need ever arose for him, there would be strict boundaries set. With preference to us having the experience together, threesome or something, IDK. A few weeks later, I talked with him and had decided I don't think I'd be okay with him doing it alone, unless it was truly something he felt he needed to experience in his lifetime. He said it was fine and he wouldn't do anything I don't want him to do. About a week after that last conversation, seemingly out of the blue, a co-worker he'd been spending some time with in group settings asked him on a date. She has a history of dating married men and didn't seem fazed when he reminded her that he was married. He came home, told me, and expressed that this could be his opportunity to sleep with someone. I told him I wasn't comfortable with him sleeping with someone at all at this point, let alone someone he works with and seems to have feelings for him, but agreed to see where it would go if we could do it together. He didn't want to do that and after having a bit of an argument over it, he mostly dropped it. I became very anxious and insecure after this. He started showing me things about polyamory that he'd never showed me before, even at one point saying it's dumb that humans have chosen monogamy, which he later stated was something about the population and not because he wanted to be with multiple people, but didn't feel that way when he said it. He says he doesn't want to be polyamorous because it seems like so much work and not a whole lot of fun, and certainly doesn't want to just go knocking up a bunch of different women for population purposes because he can't afford that. However, the insecurity has stuck with me. Partially because he's been spending so much extra time at work, and around this time he cancelled our Valentine's date, and would not reschedule it. Since that first rift with the girl asking him out, he became increasingly possessive of his phone, which never was an issue before, and I found that she'd been messaging him on Snapchat, which he never used until around this time, at 11 p.m. one night. I asked him if he was cheating, he told me it was a work message and told me what it said, then offered to deactivate Snapchat and tell his co-workers to only communicate with him through his work messenger or text if necessary. He did both of those things and I felt better for a while. However, he then started speaking to another co-worker a lot. One he openly admitted in the beginning of our issues that was more of a threat than the first girl, because she was younger and had more in common with my husband. He didn't do this in a menacing way at the time, if it sounds that way. They hung out in group settings a lot. I found flirtyish messages between the two of them. Things from her like, hey, smile, thank you red heart, and he had sent her a song to cheer her up one day and discussed fairly personal things. I acknowledge that this can be totally innocent, I'm just concerned because my husband is not one to do things like that with even me or his brother, let alone a co-worker. He continues to say he has no feelings for her and is not flirting. My therapist advised me that he's definitely crossing boundaries and to discuss it with him, which only made things worse. Since then, he has turned off his read receipts, location services, and changed his passcode. Again, I know all relationships are different, but this is way off for us, and has told me he is done giving in to my insecurities and has ceased most physical contact with me, actively ignores most phone calls and texts from me when we're apart, and has told me to just act normal, so he can resume being normal, too. I feel crushed by his weird behavior and unwillingness to help me through my anxieties, insecurities, and depression. I keep telling him that he has always been my rock and times like this I need him most, but he continues to say the things I'm doing and feeling are dumb and that I should just get over it if I trust him. Let me end this by saying, I take full responsibility for putting this idea into his head in the first place, my very negative, panic-ridden reaction to the first girl, and going through his phone to find the Snapchat and messages. I have apologized and have not done so since. I also don't think he's currently cheating on me, I'm just not sure what's going through his head or how to handle any of it. I want to be with him and have asked him several times to put something into this relationship because I love him and want to work it out, and he claims the same, but doesn't want to do anything to help me feel more secure in our relationship. I need advice. And #X200B. Too long did not read. Husband and I are struggling with my need for affection and his desire to do things on his terms. He's crossing boundaries that I'm not okay with, and I'm at a loss for how to handle this because I want he and I to get better. Honestly, it sounds like he has checked out of your marriage and your relationship is on the way out. It sounds like there is a lack of trust, and maybe for good reason. It's not good that he ignores most of your calls and messages. That's not okay. I would never accept that in a relationship. Know your worth. You deserve better than this. His Snapchatting late at night with his female coworker is really shady. And nobody is working through Snapchat. That's ridiculous. I don't like liars. He definitely seems like he's hiding something. Honestly, it sounds like he thinks he's been missing out by not having more sexual partners and is taking what you guys have for granted. He's 100% going to cheat the first chance he gets. It's not a question of if he will, it's when he will, and it's absolutely going to be determined on his opportunities. And here's the kicker, most of these kind of people will come crawling back, after the fact, because they realize that what they had originally was actually really good. The only question is, are you okay with taking him back after this happens? Seen this type of shit before. He's doing the grass is always greener on the other side thing, and when he gets tired of the other woman he will come back to you, maybe, but then he'll go off for greener grass again. Dump his stupid ass. You're still young, and there are plenty of fish in the sea. You are essentially separated but sharing a residence. There is no longer a workable relationship, marriage between you. He is seeking out, spending time with another woman. He is moving on without you, with health insurance and you as a roommate who contributes to paying bills in the lifestyle he has gotten used to and doesn't want to deal with changing. He is trying to get you to be the one who walks away so that he doesn't have to do it himself. So many shitty suggestions here. Just agree to some sexual stuff he wanted to do, so it has been tried, and do them in exchange for his renewed openness. If he doesn't agree or the sex doesn't work, the marriage is over. Quid pro quo. Either he becomes a husband again, or he remains a distant asshole. Time to call it quits. I'd see a lawyer and figure out how divorce options look to people who only got married for insurance purposes. I think he is being stupid getting close to girls at work, even if he wasn't married. Also, I think he is on his way to cheating if not already is. Most people who swing have threesomes do it with people they don't know. There are special sites dedicated for that lifestyle and etiquette to follow. It's also not poly if only one person wants to do it. There is a swinging page on Reddit and you can get a better idea of how people operate that way. For the most part, men don't end relationships, and he will most likely not end the one he has with you, until they have something else secured. I think he has cheated and is actively cheating. He's gaslighting you hard. You can make the decision for yourself to walk away from this or let him make the decision when it's convenient for him.